Oops, I try to give a little bit of an update here, but my mic was muted. So just give me a couple minutes here to get them all out on the socials and get everyone up in here, and then we'll get started as well. So we got a bit going on today. So do me a favor, share this tweet that I just put out there. Let's get the people in here, of course. I'm not able to go over to my personal Twitter via my phone because it'll kick me out of the AMA and close it. So learn that the hard way once or twice. So do me a favor, like and share the tweet that I just put out. Like and share this Twitter Spaces. We got some pretty impressively large things coming here. It's nothing that's going to really, destroy the general fundamentals, which is great, but it allows us to be much more expansive. So do us a favor, like and retweet. Let's get people in here. I'm going to invite V1 Bran up here to co-host. Whenever he's ready, he will join up on as well. But yeah, last week we had a pretty good audience fill up. It started out kind of slow and then it jumped in. So let's get this bouncing, keep us going along there, and we will keep moving. Give me just a minute here. We'll get people in here, then we'll get started. But yeah, it's so TGI Friday, September 9th. Shout out to everyone in here. Oh yeah, we're already getting quite a few people. It's perfect. Get us up in here. I will be able to get the recording pretty quick, and then I will get the recordings out as well. So just do me a favor, like, share, retweet, whatever you want to call it in this space. We have a lot of huge things to go over here, a variety of different aspects. Last week, you guys got some alpha before the Monday, guys, because I got too excited because we had a good audience here. So if you hype me up and you hype Brand up and we were popping in here, then of course you might get some even extra tidbits of information. And of course, if you guys do want to speak during this, ask any questions, simply request to speak on this platform and we'll bring you up live. You can also post comments, we'll answer them as well. We'll get started up here in just maybe a minute or so. Are you good over there, Bran?
Yeah, I'm good. How's everyone doing? Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you just fine. It's a good little mic check there.
Perfect.
All right, so I'm going to start the official Twitter Spaces in about 5 seconds. All right, hey, what's up, PTX fam? This is Shiblord here, joined by the one, the only Brand, to give you guys a great Twitter Spaces Alpha AMA Friday here with us. Here we do have a lot of great information to be putting out into the space, a lot of very significant updates on what's happening, not just within our code and ecosystem, but also as well as marketing and a variety of different things that we are building and developing on our end to create a better environment for us all to function in. So we have a ton of information here. Thank you all for joining us. While we are getting going, please like and retweet this tweet here. Let's get more people involved, more people in this AMA. There is a ton of great information here. You do not want to miss this, but just in case you do, this will be recorded and posted later. And of course, if you guys do have any questions along the way, just simply request to speak and we'll bring you up live. Or you can post comments in here and we will answer your comments live as well. So there are a pretty substantial bit of changes occurring here behind the scenes, but it's not changes that are going to really impact how the protocol works. I do want to stress that. So we will be changing a variety of different things, including the token contract address. Oh no, is that scary? No, it's not. So do not fret, do not fear. Nothing is fundamentally changing. Just pretty much how the functions of the contract will work will be changing. So with that being said, all that we're going to do here is we're going to launch a new contract. We're going to airdrop everybody who has tokens. Boom, right off the bat. You guys don't have to do a single thing from that end. Get you all over there. We're able to move the liquidity over as well, very simply, very easily. Get it all pushing on our end. But why are we doing this? And what does it change for you? So what does it change for you? Not a whole lot. All you'll have to do is within our platform, there will be a DApp in there where you're just going to exchange your PTX for ePTX, which is enhanced PTX. Once you do that, same daily APR, same functionality, actually increased functionality, and same tokenomics we were working with before. 10% decrease in the APR per month over 12 months, fixed 0.5%. Nothing changes in that regard. So I want to stress that we are not stopping that accumulation effect, but we are stopping the terminology of rebase. The question is why? What is this bad word rebase that we're finding out in the space here today? Well, quite simply put, there's been a lot of trash projects that have put out rebase tokens in the last year or so, some of which are better than others. But it's gotten to the point that CMC and CoinGecko not only are going to refuse to list, especially smaller tokens who are rebase technically, but they'll refuse to list anyone unless there's a very direct plan to get off of rebases in the future. So we've seen some that have got listed, of course, but because they are running on a platform that we are going to stop rebases at this time, we are going to do X, Y, and Z, they're able to still get approved. What is it? What is issues involved with us is we don't intend on stopping the rebases at any point, right? So that would cause a primary issue with CMC, and they just were refusing to list us because of that. So rather than saying, okay, well, we're just going to change the entire thing and we're going to stop rebases, we found a solution to continue that same effect over time, the same exact tokenomic plan, without effectively changing too much, but also removing the technical rebase component that CMC is refusing to list. So all you'll do is enhance PTX, boom, you're good to go. That PTX token itself is technically not a rebase token. It's just a normal BP20, very standardized token, which is actually even cooler because this token can now be listed literally anywhere. If we decide to go the central exchange route, it'll be able to do that. We can have direct staking with PTX because it's not technically rebasing in and of itself. The rebases are kind of like a staked effect happening within the enhanced PTX token, EPTX. A lot of this is confusing, and that's the biggest complaint that we're ever going to get here is there's too many elements. I'm confused. Solution to that. I'm also working on presentations to really simplify this, where you can just click on each little button and it brings you to a good description, examples, all that good stuff there. So if this sounds like it's going to be too confusing, just simply hang tight. We'll get you a very easy explanation to all that as well. But basically, it expands our capabilities of our ecosystem without changing the fundamental aspects of the project. It allows us to get listed on the CMCs, the CoinGeckos, and central exchanges of the world. And it also allows us to utilize this EPTX without having the wrapped PTX. So now it really allows us to expand the ecosystem with even one less technical element of everything that we're working with here. So it's all good news that we're building on. I'll kind of let Brand go into the different rebranding stuff. We're going to have a huge update with the website, not just the domain, but also, of course, with the color schemes and maybe some finer graphical details there. We have a lot working behind the scenes. We will have the introduction of the NFTs, which contracts are already done. Very much stronger decks than we were going to have before. I think the contracts are actually done with that. The front end's going to take some time, though. Of course, a very unique lottery system, and there will be a lot of different elements that we have going on with this ecosystem here. So the biggest thing that I want to stress, first and foremost, early on in this Twitter Spaces, because most people might only listen to the first half or so, is this current PTX token at some point in the next maybe day, couple days, etc. We will announce way beforehand. But that deck screeners chart is going to show something a little sketch. So I want to be clear that it's not sketch. We're basically just taking everything here from this current PTX token, creating a new PTX token that is able to function accordingly to how I just previously mentioned, moving all liquidity right there, airdropping simultaneously. There will be no lapse in anything from your end there. So do not fret. We will be in the chats making sure that no one is confused or misunderstanding of what's happening. And then you will receive that new contract address. You add that to your MetaMask wallet. You enhance it. Boom, easy day. We move forward very simply. So that's the biggest thing I want to stress there. But I've already taken up the first 10 minutes. So Bran, what's on your mind?
Yes. So, hello everyone. Brian here. Finally back. Back in England. Ready to get going. Even when I was away, the team working really, really hard behind the scenes. We are currently working with. Obviously, we have Solar. Who we're working with. We're also working with a company called Diapt. Now, Diapt is one of the companies who's owned and managed by DeFi Mark. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of him in the space. DeFi Mark himself creates some insane contracts. DeFi Mark has helped launch over 1,500 tokens, and their company now is the ones establishing and building a lot of our current contracts. Now, why not use Solar? Now, the reason why we didn't use Solar, and it's nothing against the Solar team, right? The Solar team are great. The Solar team are brilliant. The main thing was time. We obviously approached DeFi Mark and the DApp team to say, hey, we've got this idea and we've got this plan. And they've come back to us essentially saying, hey, we've got this already built in a nutshell and can provide, better than the current DEX itself. So we've obviously had, quite a lot of discussions with their team on the entire plans. And they've pretty much gone, hey, we really like the idea. We're actually really into the intricacy of the lottery system, how it works with revenue share system. So essentially, we will still be, working with Solar. We've obviously got the LMS that is coming, but we're really excited as well to expand that and work with, Mark and his team. Now, the benefits to that is, as I said, if you've not seen a Mark contract, they are very intricate. They are very, very good contracts that 9 times out of 10, he goes out of his way to make better than an average contract. And that's obviously what we're looking for, right? Is reliability, being able to get something done at, a fast time. So they'll be working, they are currently working on the overall build of X shares. They're working on the DEX and they're working on obviously PTX as a whole. The entirety of the current website and branding, right? I'll touch base on that briefly. We're working with another company who specializes in web development, and they're called Ucentric. Now, Ucentric are a great team. I mean, they've built some class websites. So we're currently going through the branding phase. Now, once we have the branding phase done down, that's why we've done a bit of a community event for color schemes, right? Because it's very easy for us to pick a color scheme, but I thought, hey, well, we've got a lot going on. Let's get the community involved in some way or another. So we're currently waiting for the branding package. They're currently working on the wireframe for the apps and the website, not to get confused with the X share and the X swap app. But everything's going to have a complete overhaul. We're not going to be changing the logo or anything. We're not doing anything like that. But what we're looking to do is just make our everything quite, in suit. We've got a lot being built, and I think the current red and the current way everything's laid out is fine for a very generic system. However, once you start going into and adding, intricacy and increasing the amount of products you have, I believe the red becomes overbearing. And I think that was a community decision that we had. So yes, we can go, hey, let's just tone down the red and keep the red. But the way I sort of see it is sort of a new chapter for PTX, albeit it's been very, very early. But the point of the whole thing is, right, and we could easily have done everything and continued on the regular PTX contract and gone, hey, let's scrap, CMC, because a lot of tokens do, and you'll actually be surprised. Some of you may even be invested in tokens who aren't listed on CMC. And 9 times out of 10, it's because they get rejected, and it's not because they don't want to list, it's because they don't have the requirements to get onto CMC. Either CMC don't like how their project runs, or they're not willing to use alternative methods as such. But what we didn't want is limitations. Now, albeit CMC and CoinGecko, they're not the end of the world if you don't get listed on there. However, that's two platforms within the DeFi space that we're not able to list on, which has an impact, right? I mean, you'd be pretty blind to say it doesn't have an impact, albeit how much that impact may be. But, not being able to have that established, sort of look is, it doesn't sit well with me. If there's ways we can benefit and change, with at maximum for the holders is just an airdrop and add a new contract. I mean, you guys don't have to do anything. Then, I mean, that's the best way forward. So we're not calling it a V2. We're just calling it an enhancement. I don't like the sound of V2. It just makes it seem like V1 was, bad. And it's pretty much just to avoid limitations. Now, we've got a lot going on. With the new PTX contract, we've got the XSwap being built, we have the X shares being built, we have PUSD, which is already built, we have enhanced PTX. Now, I'll explain one thing so people don't get confused. Why enhanced PTX and why not just use the word staking or staked PTX? Because it's not just a staking token. Now, we don't want to generalize it and just say a staking token when in fact, using enhanced PTX, you'll be using that to essentially enhance your passageways, which are the X shares. You'll be using that to buy X keys for the lottery. So it's not just a staking token. We don't want to just call it a staking token because it's not. And I think that's where the situation of the rebase token, right, and the wording of a rebase token, because we want to build something that is different. We have many other plans other than the ones we've already announced. There's constantly things being worked on and being improved. But the main thing is the generalization of the rebase token, right? We want to be the first sustainable rebase token, and we're trying our best to be. However, when the centralized platforms such as CG and CMC and the places where you can market, advertise, use your connections to get some extra promotion and marketing are limited, then there is no point having, even if we had 50 amazing things to drop and to release, people aren't going to care because there's going to be no one there to use them. I mean, we could make the best AAA game, release it, and if there's only, 20 active people in the chat, then the game's never going to grow. So we're looking at ways into growing. We're obviously in a bear market, so the results compared to last year DeFi, when you had the safe moons, you had the fegs, everything like that, the massive, the ever rise, the ever grows. It was easy. It was a lot easier because there was hype in the place. But what we're doing is we're building. We're going to structure the releases over a period of time, not so we are being lazy and have extra time, because majority of the stuff will probably be built very, very shortly, but because we don't want to dilute PTX. And that's one of the main focuses, is everything we're building has to benefit PTX, otherwise it just turns into a cash cow, and that's not what we're doing, and that's not what we want. We want, if you've purchased PTX, anything that's happening to benefit you as a holder, whether that be down to PUSD, enhanced PTX, staking, gaming, X shares. We don't want it to just be, hey, we bought PTX and now you've released all this good stuff, but now I'm stuck holding PTX. So a lot of things in the work. The rebranding's going ahead. We should have some updates hopefully this weekend. He said early this weekend, sort of a wireframe layout for us to go over and redo. We obviously have to update, which Shib has already been working on, all of the white papers, all of the documents, the Git book, everything to include all of the new plans and all the new updates. So things do take a little bit of time in that aspect. One thing that I'll let Shib talk about, but one thing I want to mention, because I just dropped a bit of alpha in the Discord, is the lowering of taxes. Now, we will be dropping the taxes. I'm very excited about that. I've said it for a few weeks. Shib can confirm that we should lower the taxes. With the protocol itself, having that decreasing APR and all, and the first month's pretty much over, right? The price isn't great. It's not above pre-sale. It's not. But if you have bought from pre-sale, you're either break even or in profit still. So, being said, it technically is working in essence, right? Now, with the taxes, we'd rather the protocol slash the PXBB slash everything earn that little bit less than have these high taxes and have no volume. It doesn't make sense. And I do kind of believe high taxes kill a protocol. Taxes are bad enough as it is, but with the methodology and the way it works, you have to have taxes, right? Now, over the time, we're able to look into it, right? And if we're able to lower it more, I'm not saying we are, then that's something we will look into doing. If there's anything we could do to better for the holders and for everyone else, we will do it, right? Now, the maximum tax will be the sell tax, which will be 8%. Now, that is lower than any other rebase project out there. And the buy tax will only be 4%. So that is the new taxes, and I'll pass it back to Shiv if he wants to discuss the new contract or anything a little bit more. But essentially, we're excited. Look, it's not great to have to do a V2. We're not blind to that. It's annoying. It stops that process. But what we are excited for is finally, and that's one thing I wanted to do the rebranding for, right, is having the final product. We've had a bit of teething issues, albeit the website could be better, the contract could be better, everything could be better. And every single aspect of the protocol can have improvements, and that's what we're doing now. People are saying, hey, why are you wasting time updating it? Because we can. Now, that's one thing I've always said, and I've said it in a lot of AMAs, is complacency. And that's not what we're preparing to do. We're not going to be complacent. We're not going to, hey, the website will do. We don't want to do anything like that. If it can be upgraded and it can be made better with how fast this space moves, we need to do it. Now, even if it's down to a little thing as the colors are too strong, then let's fix it. If it can be fixed and there's more than one person saying it's an issue, then it's clearly an issue. And I obviously ran a little poll in the Discord about taxes, and a lot of the current holders admitted that they'd probably buy more, but the taxes are too high. Now, I'd rather us make, barely anything from the taxes and have that working ecosystem where people actually want to buy into it and we can build. We've still got them external revenue sources. I know Shib told me today them trading bots that have been doing a little bit better. Some of them not so good, but one or two have been outstanding, which has really, really helped. So I'm sure we'll have a report for that by the end of the week. But yeah, Shib, I'll pass it back to you. I've just waffled a little bit, but yeah, it's my first AMA back. Finally home from vacation. It was a lovely vacation, but the thing with crypto is even when you're on vacation, you're always working. It's always on your mind. So it's nice to be back in my office, back on the ball, and super excited for what's to come, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, hey, thank you for all that there. So I'll go into a couple things. I'll go into the buy and sales tax, and I'll kind of give a little financial report as well. So lots of good things there. So as Brandon mentioned, we are going to reduce taxes by quite a bit, right? So there's a lot of positivity that can come from that. And even more so, rather than just reducing numbers, right? So we're not just bringing it down from 1318 to 48. We are changing the structure of how these taxes are actually taken, because this is, I'll even, I could sit here and say this is definitely something that I could have thought beforehand, but I didn't think about until later. But now we have an opportunity to update it, which is fortunate. So now when you buy the token, there's only a 4% tax, or excuse me, yeah, 4% tax associated with the buy, right? So when you're buying PTX, you are effectively putting in BNB, and then you are receiving PTX tokens, right? So in order for us to prevent an additional sale within the contract of PTX back to BNB, which is what it's currently doing, we're making this so there's really no PXBB fund anymore. It'll be a direct burn from that buy directly. So 3%, whenever there's a buy, 3%, that 3% of the 4% tax immediately burns those tokens that are coming out of the LP. So there's no more buy, no more sale. It's just coming out. And additionally, that 1% is going to treasury of the 4% there. It's going to go in tokens. So now effectively there is no sell pressure when there's a buy, because right now there is a buy and tokens are sold via the contracts. So this cleans up the contract in a sense so that it will reduce that effective that sell transaction due to a buy transaction, which it just sucks. It doesn't even make sense. We've been trying to figure out different solutions to that, and the solutions are literally right in front of your face. It's actually relatively simple. We've also now structured the sales tax to do the same. So when you're selling, you're putting PTX back into the LP and you're bringing out BNB or whatever you decide to transfer to, right? So when you do this, 2% goes to a direct burn immediately once you sell. 4% is going to the X share pool in BNB. So that 4% share is perfect. This is exactly what we needed. It was 2% before from buy sales. Now it's 0%, 4%. So the sale is still at least incorporating that 4% going to the X shares. I've obviously gone into how the X shares will be bolstered quite significantly by the trading bots as well. But that is still being kept up with the taxes. Sorry, I just had to clear my throat real quick. And then 2% of that additional sales tax goes to the treasury in BNB. So now we do not have any sales directly built into the buy or sales tax of the PTX token. We are just using what is happening already with the contracts to facilitate the different pieces of the contractual buy and sells associated with it. We've also had this developer, Mark, develop basically a more, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a contract that allows it to not have these four sales every time we see a buy or a sale associated with it. So it'll route it to one place, and within that router, it'll distribute it as needed, and it reduces those for sales that we've been seeing on Deck Screener for every single buy or sale. So not only are we cleaning up the actual tokenomics, but we're cleaning up how the contract is reading through the tokenomics and putting it back out into the space. So those are two of the, yeah, they might not be, the end all be all differences of most people are more concerned about that now it's a 4% and 8% rather than a 13 and 18. But really what encourages us as developers and founders and all that there is that it's a stronger contract. It's just more efficient, and it really allows to get what we're working on put out into the space without a lot of the nonsense built into it. So it's cleaned up across the board. 4% buy tax and an 8% sales tax on even just in BSC in general is pretty phenomenal. There'll still be no transfer tax associated with the PTX token, so you don't have to worry about that there, but there will be that 4% buy and 8% sales. So that's the kind of biggest update on the tax association. So I'll go into a little bit of the financial report as well. And as you've seen, I've been tweaking how our trading bots work. This is a learning curve, right? Some definitely outperform others. Some are a little bit more, you know, hit or miss. So I've been just constantly observing them, and that's really what I love doing is getting deep into the numbers and really start diving into what is the most beneficial for what we are investing literally your money into to build up the project and obviously return it back. So what I've identified is the two alt bots that I've been using, the Sol one and the AVAX one. They, over a period of 6 months, generally do pretty well, but they can mess up. And when they do mess up, they mess up pretty bad. Like oftentimes I found that they'll trigger a short when my Ethereum and Bitcoin ones trigger a long, and their short trigger has not been good. And this has been a trend since we got in. So what's my solution to this? Very simple. I reduced the amount that we're going into for the totality of the strategy. So right now we are working with a Bitcoin strategy that's more of a swing trading, kind of like a day trading sort of theory, an Ethereum swing trading, and then an Ethereum relatively scalpish, maybe not quite as scalp as some of the other ones out there, but these are the three that we're running on. Why are we doing that? Because over that course of the month, our Bitcoin one made 23,000, and the next closest with AVAX making about 2,500. So that just ain't worth it, right? So if one is making 10 times what the other ones are, hey, the right minds say you need to figure out why. And I did figure out why. And it's just because the triggers on this Bitcoin one are a little bit better than maybe some of the other ones out there. And then our Ethereum one is actually actively up 32% currently. And this puts us up about 10 grand over the course of the last week. That's pretty fantastic. So we're doing really well on the financial side. I'll get those reports out for the weekly update either today or tomorrow, of course, so we can see what I've done, what I've changed, and also the progress between them. So it's going super well. I actually enjoy, the number side. I have a economics educational background, and I really enjoy that aspect of everything as well. But there's a so much happening in the background, and it's really entertaining for me because I like to be busy 24/7. So I love it, man. Like, thanks so much greatness. I know Brand kind of mentioned, yeah, maybe someone's going to get a little discouraged about us launching a second token, but there's no change. And that's what I really want to stress. This isn't like, oh, PTX failed. We're just going to go bring up something new. Definitely not the case. This is more so taking our current token, making it better, airdropping it to you guys. There is no additional money for us coming in for doing this or anything weird like that. In fact, we are just bringing a better product to you and continue to grow with and build from in the future. It really takes some of the limitations off of our token and allows us to thrive moving forward, which is what we want to do with each and every one of you. So lots of incredible things happening behind the scenes that we've been putting out into the front. Hopefully we'll have some updates on the graphical designs here in the next couple of days. I think that's going to be fantastic. But I know Brand even used the word rebranding. We're not rebranding the name PTX or ProtocolX, so do not fret on that end. But it's just more so of a color scheme and really sprucing up everything that we're working with. But we do have someone requesting to speak. So, Pretty Boy Nunu, I'm going to bring you up here live. Once you connect, just simply unmute your mic and you will be able to speak live with us here on this AMA. Once you unmute, you should be good here. How's it going, man? Pretty Boy, if you unmute your mic on the bottom left of your screen, you will be able to speak with us live. How's it going?
Doing great. Good morning. Good. Good evening.
Yeah, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing great, and you?
Doing fantastic here, chilling with the community. Love it. What can we help you with?
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question. Uh, you were talking about taxes, and so I wanted to know what actually happens to the taxes. Like, what are the monetary policies that are applicable to it?
Yeah, so I can go into the kind of economical standpoint of what we're working with here. I think that's more so my wheelhouse anyway, right? So monetary policy is on the most basic level, money in versus money out, or in a sense, dollar USD in versus USD out, right? So monetary policy is generally changed via what's called the Fisher equation, which is more so trying to manipulate how much money pours into the economy at any given time, likely due to the aspect of interest rates. So, in our sense, if we wanted less money to come into the economy, we would simply raise taxes, right? We wouldn't want people to be putting money in, so we'd raise them. But in our sense, we want more money to go into the ecosystem. So, from a monetary policy standpoint, we are reducing taxes, lowering the barrier to entry to engage with our token to participate in our ecosystem. And that inherently will create an environment that will at least progress in the sense of a demand via a less limitations. So, that's the general idea of there. Also built into the buy and sales tax as a burn mechanism, monetary policy and economic theory also states that obviously inflationary tokens do cause a concern on price valuation over time. So by us facilitating a burn built into the contract, we are trying to encourage price appreciation built into the contract rather than price depreciation built into the contract. That was a lot of different jargon, so if I'm not clear, please let me know and I can kind of rephrase it.
Thank you very much. I think I'm clear.
All right, hey, appreciate it. Thank you for jumping up here, man. All right.
Right. Thank you for the question. We have another person waiting. But while we're speaking on finances and stuff, the actual financial report that will come out today, if you have a little look, you will actually see that the entirety of the team over the last 2 weeks have taken a pay decrease as well. Now, this wasn't for any specific reason, more for longevity. The pay in itself for the entirety of the team was, relatively low anyway. It wasn't, crazily substantial where, you've some developers being paid, $5,000 a week, or, people earning $10,000 a week. It was nothing crazy like that, right? But last week, some of the core team members did take a pay decrease, which was great. And then this week, we decided as a team to take a further 20% pay decrease. That includes everyone, core team, moderators, albeit it's not, you know, it's not something that's more motivating for people, right? Taking a pay decrease, especially, the moderators and stuff, which we understand. However, the great thing that we all sort of agreed on, the entirety of the entire team, not just the core team, is that we want this to be long term, right? The short term gains is irrelevant, albeit, hey, we can bump our pays up to, $5,000 a week each, and then the protocol dies, but that's not what we want. So you'll also see we're now saving another $6,000 a month in salaries, which is great. I mean, it adds that longevity. It adds an extra month to the year. An extra 20% in salaries for the year. Sorry, that is saved, and overall helps the longevity of the project. Right, we want to be here long term. We are building for the long term. And even though, like Shib said, the bots made $10,000 this week, that doesn't mean we want that money to go to us. It doesn't mean that we want that money to go, hey, team bonus. We want the protocol to make money so we can further develop it. This space is very expensive. We've cancelled our audit with Certic, which I'm very happy about. From a personal standpoint, and this is my personal beliefs, not the beliefs of ProtocolX, this is the second time Certic have been absolutely awful in management with regards to auditing, timescales, how they process things. It's just complete havoc, right? Now, we've completely cancelled that. And what we're going to do is actually, now that we're working with DAppt, we're able to actually just get everything audited with Solidity Proof, which in a sense, they're a great project. I mean, great team. They're a great auditing company. Audits themselves, and I saw a good quote on Twitter the other day from one of my friends, and it was who actually audits the auditing companies, and it is true. It's you do pay this extreme premium out of the protocol for someone to say, hey, this contract's good, when it doesn't make any difference. How many projects have Certic listed that have rugged? How many audits audited projects have rugged, right? So we're going to be doing all of our audits with solidity proof. Every single contract, in essence, to a degree, will be audited through them, which we're super excited for. It's a lot more cost efficient to the same, if not higher quality standard, and has a fast turnaround time. So we will be able to have them audits lined up, ready for the release, hopefully, of the next PTX. And this whole thing is a learning curve, right? This whole space is a learning curve. And one thing I really pride myself on is being as transparent as I can be. And I know the rest of the team are, right? I mean, we can't just sit there and go, hey, we got a problem. We talk to the community, because that looks unprofessional. But what we have done, and I am really proud of the team and, even myself, not to toot my own horn, is thus far, anytime we've had a quote-unquote problem, it's ended up benefiting the protocol more. Now, the first ever development team, if you were around prior to the pre-sale, when we got messed around there, we found a solution. Now, we can't get on CG and CMC, we found a solution. But not only are we finding a solution, we're not just putting a band-aid on it, we're actually fixing the problem, which I'm really, really happy about. And it just shows myself and obviously the rest of the team that these things that we're looking to build, we're not looking to half-ass it. We're not looking to just go, hey, here's a DEX, that's it. It's just a DEX. This is our product. We're actually looking to build and actually grow in this space. So that's why we're doing everything we want to do. Lowering the taxes, making everything better, doing things, differently and benefiting the community more, taking pay cuts. Even though the bots made more profit this week, doesn't mean, it goes directly to us. So we are trying to build in this space. We are putting in the work. I mean, the countless hours. I mean, it is a lot. I'll be honest with you guys, but it's exciting. It's exhilarating. It's what we live for. I don't come to work and feel like I'm at work. I feel like I'm doing something that's quite passionate. I'm passionate about. So it's quite easy to sit there and do a 20-hour day. But I just wanted to just say that at this time we are working extremely hard. I mean, if I'm not sitting here to call projects out, and I'm not doing that. But if you can name one project that has the entirety of their roadmap currently being built, half built, and having contracts ready to be deployed within the first 2 weeks, I would want to speak to that team and work with that team, because I believe that we are working at a really, really good pace. Now, the contracts being built, working with multiple dev teams. I mean, the solar team, they are great. Don't get me wrong. They are brilliant, and we're going to be using the LMS with them. They're going to be doing further maintenance, and we're going to be working with them long term. But being able to branch out and have that further expertise, because one thing Shib always says, and I say it myself, if you're not an expert in that area, don't try to pretend to be. And that's what kind of happens a lot with this space, is everyone tries to say they know what to do all the time, right? And that's not us. That's not me. So if I know there is a guy or a team that can help benefit the project better than I'm able to, then that's a route that you should be exploring, especially when they're quite passionate about it themselves. Working with people that have a lot of passion just means that the project will be built with passion, right? I mean, as soon as we spoke to the DApp team, they really like the idea, and from actually speaking to them, they are really into the idea, and they want to help build an actual product. And it wasn't even just about business, it was actually about passion. And that's one thing we're really excited about, is that the actual idea of all the revenue shares and all the ecosystem, and even adding future stuff to the ecosystem, was actually bullish for them, which was really great for us. Because we're saying these ideas, and we can say it to investors, but when you say it to developers and other teams that have built 1,500 contracts, and they're excited about the idea and want to work with you long term, and they're saying, hey, we're here, we want to build this, It's extremely nice, and in the long and short of it, we are working extremely hard. Like I said, the financial reports are there for the transparency reasons. If you actually look at them properly, you'll see over the last couple of weeks the team pay has decreased, just so we can have more funds available. Albeit it's not a massive change. I mean, a couple of $1,000s in the DeFi space isn't much, but it helps, and that's what's the important part. If it can help, then it can. And it's the same with the taxes. I'll say this one last time and I'll stop rambling, because I'm going to start naming it a bramble, because I do ramble a lot and I do apologize. But as for the taxes, right, we can have these insane taxes where the treasury makes a bunch of money, right? But what's the point if there's zero volume or low volume, which high taxes are an issue. They're not the best volume generators. And when a project not doesn't rely on volume, but when volume's a major benefactor for the project, having high taxes, and I would rather have lower taxes and have volume in the community excited and new members coming in than money that will end up going on marketing or being wasted. And I'll touch base on marketing quickly. We're obviously rebranding everything, right? And when I say rebranding, we're not changing it to like PTX V2. We're not doing that. We've purchased a new domain because the SEO for -x.io is absolutely shocking. If you don't know how SEO works, in essence, SEO prioritizes .com domains, essentially, because it's mostly renowned. So if you actually Googled ProtocolX right now, you'll see a protocol called X Protocol, which comes up first purely because they're SEO. So what we need to do is, with the new domain and the SEO, we're going to get SEO teams to work directly on that and make sure that we come up top. And that was one of the things with the CG and CMC, right? If the project can't have specific presence in a DeFi space, then it's not going to help when people try to do research on the project and can't find you. So there was multiple problems. It wasn't just CG and CMC. It's kind of greater than that. It's more about presence, more about availability, access. People being able to just Google your name and be able to find you is very important. So we're working on all that. There's a bigger picture to everything we say. It's not just as simple as because we couldn't get on CMC. There's so much coming. I'm extremely excited. We've got a dev demo today with the DApps team to have a look at all the XShares contracts. We've got a wireframe update on this weekend for the new website and the new DApp, which we're excited for. So hopefully we can have some more updates on Monday's AMA regarding everything, because we don't want to rush it. We don't want to just launch stuff for the sake of launching it. So hopefully we can have more updates then. But I've rambled a lot now, so I'll pass it back to Neil.
Appreciate you, man. So I'm going to bring up Wolf. I'm going to bring you up here live, Wolf. Once you connect, you can just simply unmute your mic in the bottom left, and you will be live. Yep, we can hear you just fine. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for all the hard work you're doing. I just have a couple of questions. So regarding the airdrop of the new token, so if you notice the holders page on BSC scan is not updating with the rebases, how are you gonna take a snapshot and without showing the rebases?
I'll answer that one. Mark, who will be doing the actual transition, has a contract already built that will scrape the entirety, even updated. So it'll be updated to a specific time frame, whether that be 12 p.m. or whatever, whenever that's confirmed, and it will be everything until that point. So even though it's not visible on the main BSC scan page, that's purely because the API doesn't update until you click into it or you do a transaction, right? But the way that the scraper will work is it will pull all the data at the live time, not just what you can see on BSC scan.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you for answering that.
No worries.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. Look at that. We've sparked now. A lot of people want to talk. We got another one looking to ask a question. Oko Divine, we're going to bring you up here live. Once you connect in, you can unmute on bottom left, and then you will be live with us. Hey, how's it going? Just click that little button one more time, and you will be able to speak with us.
Although if he doesn't speak, we do have Charity up here wanting to speak as well. My man Charity.
Yeah, so hey, Oko Divine, on the bottom left, it says mic is muted. If you click that, then you will be able to talk with us and we can hear you. Going once, Oko. Going twice, Oko. All right, hey, I do apologize, man. I'm going to remove you and put you back down to the audience. If you do want to try again, just let me know and we'll bring it back up here. No worries. But in the meantime, what up, Sato? We're bringing you up here live. I know you know how Twitter Spaces works. So you don't have to hear my speech. How's it going, man?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you just fine. How you doing today?
Perfect. I'm doing great, man. I just wanted to come up here. I don't have any questions, but I just wanted to come up here and say, man, I've been in crypto for about 3 years now, and been in this DeFi space and altcoin space for probably about a year and a half. And Shib and Brand and the team at PTX is like literally one of the most hard workers teams that I've seen. Like when you talk about resilience and you see a problem and you want to just pounce on it, like you can really, really respect the fact that you got a team like that, because at the end of the day, you might see a lot of different problems or issues, or you have dev teams that identify something and then they don't tell the investors because hey, they don't want people to sell, or they don't want people to get a bad negative view of the project. But this team is very transparent, they're open, they're honest, and at the end of the day, that means a lot to me, and that's one of the reasons why I invested in PTX. I really appreciate the updates. You guys keep killing it, and we appreciate you.
Hey, shout out to you, man. I know we have an AMA here in a few hours, so it'll be in our main Discord. So anyone that's in here now, join our Discord so we can all partake in that AMA a little bit later today. Through my phone with Sato. So there'll be a lot of cool things to talk about there. But yeah, man, shout out to you. Thank you for that. But that's honestly a good point. Is maybe definitely I'm a little bit different because I've been in projects where they're like, hey, don't sell, or they get all frustrated with people if they try to figure out how to. I'm like, why are people putting money in it? Because either they believe in the long term and they want to make money, right? So if you believe in us, it benefits right now, the early days, if people do hodl their tokens, but you're never going to find me asking, begging, etc. for that. I'd rather give people a reason to want to hold because of their belief in the system. And if they do believe in it, great. If they don't believe in it, honestly, they're not going to care what I say anyway. So that's the way to do it, in my opinion. Be extra transparent and let people make a decision.
Look, the thing is as well, Neil, I'll be completely, frank. I'm bored of sugarcoating it. Products like Titan, right? I know a couple of people here was invested in Titan, right? You had that period of when the dev was, essentially stealing money from, say, the 1st of July or wherever it was. We notified them of dodgy wallets, myself personally and a couple of other people, saying that, hey, these don't add up. You're saying you have all the seed investors, but now you've got 4 wallets here dumping that literally combined all their wallets and dumped, which didn't add up because they said, hey, we know who all the seed investors are, but we don't know who this wallet is. So it didn't make sense to me, right? So essentially, when we heard that, we sold. Now, I left Titan because they didn't listen to a single word we said. If anyone was in Titan, I was number one chatterbox. I talk a lot of crap sometimes, right? But what really bothered me was that they knew this dev was stealing money, right? And they acted like nothing was wrong. So when you've got people putting their money into a project and pretending nothing's wrong, these people are putting thousands and thousands of dollars, and your excuse is, well, we had to wait, otherwise he would have taken more money. But these people have been putting the money in. So you're putting more money at risk. And that's one thing that really peed me off, and apologies for my language, is that there was problems that we highlighted as a community. And that's one of my passions behind PTX, right? And it's not just that, but it is one of them, was that Titan situation. Now, if that situation was handled transparently, then hey, things could have gone different, right? But for that 2-3 weeks where they were still pretending nothing was going on, people were buying the dip while the dev dumped, and people were doing this and that, the other, it hurt so many people, some of my friends included, that were believers in this project and wanted the project to do well, because it did have good foundations. I'm not going to lie. Titan, in a nutshell, had good foundations to be a great project if it had the right team. And that's my biggest point here, is understanding that no matter how much smoke and mirrors a project gives you, unless the team is good, then you should be very, very wary, because the ideology of Titan Orbital was brilliant, and I'm really excited to see what happens with Orbital now, because I know that's going to be taken over by a great team. Shout out to the guys over at Kyoto. But with that situation, right, and that all leads back to what Sailor just said, right, is the transparency aspect. They let that go on for a few weeks, and we've not had anything like that, touch wood, thank God, so far. But letting people invest when you know that they're going to lose money just didn't sit well with me. And that was the whole point of listening to the community and making sure even the smallest thing, even the color of the website, was, is important to me. Everything is very important, because if multiple people are seeing an issue, regardless of the severity of the issue, then it's a problem, and you should always be looking to solve problems rather than avoid them. But that was my little ramble on the truthful aspect of why I'm so passionate about a community management role, about making sure that everyone's voice is heard, because it's happened to me personally where, if they just listened, then, people wouldn't have lost money, or less money at least, because I can't, say no one would have lost money, because that'd be a lie. But it would have helped, and the team would have been able to take steps to prevent people losing money. And that's one thing I'm really happy about, is that SHIB owns the contracts. No matter what, all of the routers, all of the background, all of the possible backdoors are checked by multiple teams and auditing companies. So if anything does go wrong, not only do they have to go through a 4-7 multi-sig, they also have to authorize the transaction. And then, for example, if it was to have a security breach, instead of just breaching one person or a dev, they'd have to breach 4 out of 7 of the team, including some of the external, such as Solar, to actually, draw money out or cause harm. Now, that is very important to us, and we'll always be doing things to better security. We're always thinking of ways we can better security as well. It's a constant conversation I have with myself and with the team. But that's just one thing I wanted to get off my chest, is making sure that everyone is heard, even if it is as small as the color of the website. And that's, part of the meaning of rebranding, because if multiple people are saying that the red is, too much, it doesn't look good, it's, it's bold, it's in your face, especially if the developers are saying that as well, then we're going to listen, right? So we do in our Discord. It's so silly, but there's $250 worth of PTX. I'm going to be sending that tonight out to someone. We're going to be picking a color, getting that all sent over for the branding, get that wireframe ready for this weekend, and then we can finally start releasing, the X shares, the X swap, the PUSD, everything exciting to come. But Madeira, I know, sorry I've kept you waiting, but I'll bring you up right now so you can have your speak. Come on up, Alex. So once you're connected, just press the little mic in the bottom left-hand side and you'll be able to speak.
All right. Hey, good morning, Shib. Good morning, Brand. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can
Yes,
hear this.
yes.
You
All right. No, just, before I ask my question, I just want to kind of add to what Brand said. Definitely, this team is top notch, and all the changes that are being made as an investor, it definitely benefits me and other investors. So I want to say thank you, and to what Shib said, definitely you guys are built different. You guys aren't the type to sit back and wait. You see something, you immediately attack it. So again, I want to say thank you to that. And I want to say thank you to the team as well as for the reduction of their salaries. I know that takes a big conviction. No one wants to earn less, but understanding what the vision is and what the long-term goal, they all did it as a team. So again, I want to say thank you to that. My question is, the enhanced PTX, is that replacing the wrap PTX, and what will it be doing other than I'm assuming staking and being used for farming? What are the other enhancements that the EPTX will have?
Yeah, so that's a great question there. So EPTX will effectively make the Wrap PTX no longer relevant. So we don't need that anymore, which is kind of an easier thing. It allows us to sort of utilize less different elements of the ecosystem and make it a little bit simpler. So that enhanced PTX is going to be basically your method to get involved in all of the other aspects of the protocol beyond just owning the token, right? So once you get PTX, which is what you'll get airdropped again, of course, then it'll you just go into the DApp, you put it, into there, you get EPTX out. That at the most base level gives you access to that 1.77% daily APR that we're currently seeing now. And obviously the same tokenomics where it drops by 10% each month over 12 months, yada, yada, yada. We know that part there. That'll also allow you to engage directly with the X key mechanism once we have that. So then you'll be utilizing different elements of PTX and EPTX in order to facilitate a burn of EPTX to get X keys. Obviously, the X keys are going to be the primary function to engaging with the lottery, as well as with the upgrading the NFT revenue X shares. So that'll be those two aspects there. Then there will be less limitations. So once we start getting the different farming liquidity farms out, different staking mechanisms out, we can really start introducing this EPTX to be the most primary and basically utility function of PTX. And then we can expand it from there. Whatever we decide, whatever we build, whatever we grow into, we can take this EPTX token, build it right into whatever we're building, and then create a new utility for it, first and foremost, very quickly, very easily. So it really just basically takes the limitations off the table and gives the community a means to interact with the rest of the ecosystem with just one simple effect of enhancing their PTX.
Okay, thank you. And my second question is, once the NFTs come out, as I understand, 5,000 NFTs will be coming out at once, where investors could purchase, and the upgrades, will that be allowed to be done at the same time? Meaning, you purchase your common, you can immediately upgrade to uncommon and rare.
Yeah, that's another great question. Ideally, I'm still kind of working with the dev team there. I want to release them a little bit spaced apart. I'd rather the main ones come out, give them, I'm not going to say months or anything, but give them a little bit to settle a little and allow them to kind of get minted up. And then up there, I'll start releasing the next tier to upgrade and then the next tier to upgrade. So it's all tiered. I don't want everyone just to go out and immediately get all the highest tiers because our whole community isn't here yet. We're going to still be growing into the future. And I want it to be fair for all those who are up there. Obviously, the highest upgradable tier only has 400 total, and we have over 400 holders. So, if you were to buy 5 and et cetera, then ultimately there won't be very many rares left for our new audience into the future. My solution to that is saying, hey, we're just going to release them over time, over a very reasonable time, allow the base tier to get worked up, then the uncommon tier, then the rare tier, and of course the legendary and the wanderer tiers are their own type of categories. So those will all be put out there on a relatively strategic base.
Okay, good. No, that makes sense. I was speaking to another investor, and he was telling me also, like, I'm not going to have time or the money ready to upgrade. So that's a big benefit to everyone, to allow them to save and to build up momentum for those rare NFTs. All right. Well, again, thank you. Go ahead.
No worries. Yeah. Also, Alex, and I totally agree with you. And that's one thing we don't want, and that's one thing I also learned of Titan. I don't want to seem like I'm, just shitting on Titan. I'm really not. But one thing they did was they diluted the Titan way too early. So what they did is they released Titan, and then a week or so later released Orb. So where Titan finally managed to get a little bit of momentum, people were then going, hey, here's the shiny new thing, right? So the only way people are going to have money after a week is through Titan. So what that then did was cause sell pressure on Titan. People go, hey, I'm going to get into Orb because I'm going to make a bunch of money. And then I'm going to get back into Titan. But then the price came down, so they couldn't get back into Titan. And then they were bag holding. And then, people were conflicted about which one to buy because one APR was better than the other. And so what that then happened was it ended up, instead of the entirety of the ecosystem working together, it was working against each other because not only did it have battling APRs of, okay, no, but if you hold Orb, you can make X amount of money. If you hold Titan, you can make X amount of money. What happened was that the people who were the loyal Titan holders turned against Titan, because not only was Orb being advanced more, it then became a conflict between, we've got two communities now instead of one community. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yep.
So instead of having the PTX fam, you had, the Orb fam and then the Titan fam. So then it ended up being a conflict of interest, and because people were selling each token to buy another token, and that's one whole reason about the structured release, right? We want people to be able to hold their rebases. And the best thing about the NFTs is, okay, we may get initial sell pressure. People may sell their rebases to buy the NFT. But when we then release the next tier and the X keys, people are going to have to burn their PTX. So it's not going to be people, us sending it from the treasury, whatever. It's going to be people having to actually send, 5,000, 10,000, 50,000, however much they want to burn to get them X keys. Now, it's our job to make them X keys hold that value, right? So that's the very exciting part. Every structured tier release, so whether it be common, uncommon, rare, each tier, more PTX will be burned. Now, that doesn't say that this is the end of the tiers. And that's one thing I want to stress. This legendary NFT, right? It has such clear percentages, right? Where we can actually work and go, hey, rare's gone well. Can we advance this? Can we change this? Can we introduce it into gamification? Now, that's one thing we're not going to do. And sorry for the long-winded answer, is we're not going to dilute. So that goes back to Shib's answer as well, is about spacing it. If we dropped it all at once, we're going to have one singular day of a massive dump and then a massive buy so people can upgrade them. And then no one cares about them for the rest of the time.
Right.
There's no more hype. There's nothing to come. Whereas if we structure it as, okay, the commons are now live, you can now earn your share of the project, a month or so down the line. You can now upgrade them. So people have had time. They've now got their thing. But the best thing about it is the APR is reducing. So now people are going to be like, hey, do I want to use a week of rebases to upgrade this? If yes, I'm going to have to burn this PTX, which helps the supply and the sustainability. And that, all works to the long-term methodology around why X shares will help PTX so much. Because not only do we make funds for the protocol through the mint, we actually burn an exceptional amount of supply. Now, the supply burning is great because, especially on this new contract, the burn will work differently, and I'll tell you why. Because there's actually going to be a burn in each buy, the burn will mean a lot more than just us burning from the treasury, which we can do. So we want to restructure that to be able to actually have it have a meaningful burn. So every time it's actually burned, your supply is actually going to get higher. Now, the best thing about this new contract is if someone isn't staking their PTX, they're not rebasing. So if you've airdropped or someone's won a prize and they don't care about the token, right? They've somehow got $50 of PTX and they really don't care about the token. It's just in their wallet. That's not going to rebase and in 6 months' time come to bite us in the arse. They're not a part of the project. So as long as you're part of the project and you actually want to be here and you are interested and you're a holder, then you're going to benefit tenfold. So not only does it help with our SEM model, with the supply not going through the roof and causing a massive amount of, inflation in months to come, it actually benefits all of the actual holders and the people who are involved in PTX. And when you start working your brain a little bit around X shares and why it helps PTX so much, start to think about how many times there's going to be a lottery, how many times people are going to just burn their PTX at a chance for the lottery, just so they can have a bunch of X keys to upgrade all their X shares, right? it's all a very, very self-sustaining ecosystem, which is great, and it all benefits PTX because the mints benefit PTX because that money's going back to help PTX and X shares directly. Then all the burns that happen from buying X keys. If you have one whale that goes, hey, I want to get all 5 or all 10 or 20 of my commons straight to rare, that's going to cost a lot of PTX. Okay, they'll have a lot of the external revenue source, but that doesn't hurt PTX holders. That just means they're investing for the long term. So it only helps because PTX holders, okay, if it costs 200,000 PTX or whatever, I'm just throwing random numbers. That's 200,000 straight to the burn, which, you know, is a substantial amount of money. That could be tens of thousands of dollars just taken out of supply. So what essentially it will do over time, and if it works well enough, will cause a supply shock because there will be so little tokens that are rebasing that there'll be so of a top heavy burn that the supply will become finite and you'll be able to earn PTX, but because that APR is dropping, it won't be easier to get. So people are going to be sitting there going, hey, do I really want to sell my PTX? And this is where the whole structure of the ecosystem comes in. And sorry for the long-winded answer. It's my first AMA back. I'm really excited. I haven't been in an AMA properly in so long. So not only do we have the burn mechanism, we have the reducing APR, which means people aren't going to want to just get rid of their, you know, PTX because it's not always going to just be, oh, sorry, I get 1.77% tomorrow. People are going to be like, hey, you know, that APR is dropping quite fast. You know, it's 6 months down the line now. I'm only getting 0.8% a day. You know, it takes a little while longer to get, you know, an X amount of tokens. People are going to go, hey, I don't want to sell my PTX. Or they're going to be like, I want to invest my PTX. Or they're going to say, hey, I want to hold them. So it adds that create your own path situation, right? You can either sell your rebases, make some money. If you're bullish on the project, you can hold. If you're bullish on X shares, you can upgrade your X shares. So there's so many ways to, you know, use your PTX and enjoy the ecosystem when it all just benefits PTX.
And my last question, guys, is would it be a smart move to wait to implement the LMS until we get hopefully approved by CMC or and CG to increase that volume?
Yeah, so I can touch on that there. So my whole purpose of this LMS is to create a rising floor theory. So even if I put it live before we were listed and volume increases, I still think that there could be a benefit to having the LMS put into place, especially because of how we're structuring it. We do allow it to go a bit above and or below the target range to help bolster that LMS system. And I'll also be using external revenue to help bolster that LMS pool as well. But really, it doesn't matter. So generally speaking, if I know that we're about to get listed, I could even, you know, prop it up just a little bit if I wanted to, let it kind of feed into itself, and then pull it back when needed or adjust accordingly with all a click of a button, pretty quickly, pretty easily.
All right. Hey, thank you for allowing me the time to ask the questions, and keep up the great work.
Hey, I appreciate you, fam. Thank you for coming up here, and shout out to you always being in the Discord, always on the AMA. So thank you, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, no, thank you for the question, but more importantly, thank you for letting me talk in your ear for 20 minutes. I do apologize.
Yeah. Brand is definitely a little overexcited here with.
Look, I haven't had an AMA ship in about 2 weeks. I'm feeling good. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to everything that's coming. So when I get these questions, I get a bit passionate about it. But that's never bad, right? So that's it. It seems like we've got all the questions that people have asked. Shib, anything else?
Nope. Hey, that's it. So if you guys are not in our Discord or in our TG, join those up. I know we're on the Twitter spaces here. Join us up. We have another AMA here in a few hours. Mondays, we do a Discord community AMA. Fridays, we do a Twitter spaces community AMA. Always alpha because we're always building. So shout out to everyone who joined here. Thank you, Brand. Hopefully you had a great vacation. Now we're back at it once again. Thank you to all who joined us. Ask us questions. Join the socials. Hit us up. But until then, shout out to all of you. We will be catching you throughout the weekend and see you all on Mondays, Discord AMA. So peace out, fam.
Take care, everyone. Thank you for coming.